We're back in South Australia at the famed Mallala Raceway for race number 2 from round 5 of the 1995 Australian Super Touring Championship. Race 1 was a dogfight between Paul Morris and Greg Murphy, Morris taking the win by less than a second from his Audi counterpart, and that has now vaulted Morris into the equal championship lead with teammate Jeff Brabham. Morris has pole for race number 2. He's joined on the front row by Jeff Brabham, an all BMW front row. Third place, Greg Murphy ahead of his teammate Brad Jones for an all Audi row number 2. Row 3, Jeff Allen first of the front wheel drive cars in the Ford Mondeo, joined by Tony Scott in the Volvo. Stephen Richards back in 7th, joined on row number 4 by us, Ross Dugman. Position number 8, we managed to get a great 7th place in heat number 1 despite a race-long battle with Stephen Ellery particularly. Graham Moore, he's out of position number 9 in the Opel Vectra, ahead of Steve Ellery in 10. From 11, Mark Adderton again in the Atlantis Removals Peugeot 405, still running without a wing kit in its 1994 guys. Steve Hardman out of position number 12 in the second of the Hyundais. Paul Pickett from 13 in the BMW, he's joined by Paul Nelson on row number 7, while tailing off the field is Justin Matthews in the number 13 BMW M3. So it's late in the afternoon here for race number 2. We're set to go. Conditions are great, sunny and warm. Let's see what happens in this race. Sun's starting to set ahead of race 2, red lights on. Away, green light. Not the worst start, not the best start. Get inside Stephen Richards into turn 2. Not quite. Rounds, Tony Scott going a bit slow in the Volvo. The sun right in our eyes as we come down to turn number 3, the hairpin. Get up the inside of both. Oh, over and under at Tony Scott. Got ahead of Stephen Richards though, in the Valvoline Alpha. Down the back straight for the first time. Richards tucks in behind us. Tony Scott ahead of us in the estate. Cold brakes, cold tyres. Got around safely. Tony Scott having a go at one of the Audis ahead of us as we come down the back straight for the completion of the first lap. Thought Scott was going to have a go right up on. Scott a bit slow through here. Round completion of lap 1. We're in position 7. Scott ahead of us in the 850. Round turn 2, a long left-hander, takes us past the pits. Onto the back straight, Richards crawling all over us. Driving for Gary Rogers Motorsport, of course. Gary Rogers was a legend. Passed away recently, long-time supporter of many facets of Australian motorsport. Super Touring, Oscar, Nations Cup GT racing in Australia, of course, with the Holden Monaro. Long-time touring car competitor, be it Group C, Group A, V8 supercars, Super Touring here obviously. Trying to hold on to Tony Scott in the Volvo. Tail comes around. First gear onto the back straight. the rare moments this season where the privateers aren't mixing it up with the works cars. We've got pretty much works cars 1 to 7. Of course, Jeff Allen is mixed up in there. He's not a strict factory car because there wasn't really any Ford support, but they did get a little bit of Ford help, which meant Jeff Allen wasn't eligible for the Privateers Cup. At the same time, Ford weren't eligible, of course, for the Manufacturers' Championship, so not slightly odd set of circumstances, but so we've got the 3 contestants for the Privateers Cup all in a line. Oh, almost, because we nearly threw it away. First gear onto the back straight. Lap number 4. Richards had a dive, not enough. So we sit in 7th, we've gained 1 spot on qualifying. Just see the silhouette of the Volvo ahead. Past the pits. Now onto the back straight. Get up to speeds approaching 200 kilometres an hour in the Hyundai at least. Back to first gear. Graham Moore still sitting 9th. Ellery rounds out the top 10. With Mark Adderton just out of the points. It's a real rhythm section at the end of the lap. The line. One-handed a bit through that corner to get it down another gear. Richards really giving us a hard time. First gear, right up on the curb. They do have lethal curbs here at Mallala. Down the back straight, so Tony Scott's 6 seconds ahead of us. Round onto the straight, kick up a bit of grass in Stephen Richards' direction. Round onto the back straight. Quite a good version of this track. It's a pity the camera angles aren't a little bit better. The actual track itself drives really good. All the way down into the back straight. Richards had a look. A bit of a fade anyway. May have never been going to be able to get through. Second gear, tip it in. Hold third gear through the rhythm section onto the front straight. We're already 7 laps in the bag, so rocketing towards 1/3 distance. And there's an Audi off, and I think it might have been Brad Jones. It looked like yellow wing mirrors. So if that is, it's a very disappointing weekend from the race 2 winner on at Calder. Oh, we messed it up. Richards comes up the inside. And we stay ahead. In fact, we all stay in our positions. Crazy run down the back straight there. We're off in the grass, but we are running 6th now with Jones out. I think it was Jones. And if it is, race 2 winner at Calder. He tied up the championship after the Calder round. He had a very bad race 1 which dropped him behind Jeff Brabham. And now it's going to put him well down in the championship. On the brakes. There's the Audi sitting there for us all to look at for the rest of the race. So that really now puts the BMW into the hand. The BMW's in prime position to take a bit of a stranglehold on the championship heading into the second half of the season. Because Paul Morris, by winning race 1 ahead of Jeff Brabham, sorry, from Greg Murphy rather, from Jeff Brabham, has really put him in the championship fight. Of course, put him ahead of Brabham and into the lead of the championship after race 1. And of course, with pole for race 2, he was in the box seat to go on with it. I'll assume he's somewhere near the front. Brad Jones, of course, he had the double DNF in round 1 on the Gold Coast. So he came into round 2 at Oran Park with no points and clawed his way all the way back up to be joint leader of the series, and it's now gone straight down the pan. Speaking of, Richards all over us. Just holding on. Sun beginning to set in South Australia. So into lap 11, 10 down. Quite an action-packed 10 laps. In the back straight. A lot of time to Tony Scott. Modern days where Brad Jones's car is, that'd be a safety car. Probably is. I mean, it's right in the direct side of the braking zone. So if anyone did a Justin Matthews from race 1 and ran out of brakes, probably clean him up. But I hate safety cars, so just like it was in 1995. We won't be having one in this race. Going down through the hairpin. Stephen Richards no doubt getting frustrated. Up to 4th. Back comes around. So we're falling a long way off Tony Scott. We were basically a minute off the race winner at the end of race 1. Stephen Richards, thought about it. He just managed to get the run onto the straight. Out of the hairpin. Fifth gear, which is of course all we need down this part of the circuit. It's only on the first long straight down to the back hairpin, where we need 6th around here. On the front straight. The Alpha that was so dominant in the first 2 races of the series on the Gold Coast is falling down the order. A lot of that's due to the fact that they didn't run an aero kit on the car in 95. They just kept the 94 spec design, and not even the early 94 Alpha, the Silverstone model. They that had the huge wings. Perfecting the one-handed hairpins here. Of course, the 94 Alphas in the British Touring Car Championship had the big aero kit for the opening round or so. By the end of the year it was much smaller, and that's what the Valvoline Alpha ran with in 95. They didn't get a 95 spec aero kit for a reason I don't actually know. I'd be interested to find that out. David Auger, who ran this car next, did eventually get it for the 1997 AMP Bathurst 1000. Oh, Richards into us, he's getting frustrated. We overran the corner a bit. Fifth gear. Up the inside, get the spot back, quite clean in the end actually. Down to the end of the back straight. Seconds off. 5th place. Oh. Sideways. Richards all over us. 11 laps to go. It's a bit of the pit exit to blow our way around turn 3. Mark Adderton seems to have dropped off the back of the little freight train here, unfortunately, so no points for the Peugeot. Some some changes coming to that Peugeot as well. It looks like Justin Matthews is retired. Parked off to the side there. Oh. On the grass. A few changes coming the way of the Peugeot team for the next round at Lakeside in Queensland. Lakeside was a track we struggled at in our 94 Australian Manufacturers Championship campaign in the Peugeot. Of course, you can find that full season of racing on this channel. Should have gone down to first gear there, but we struggled around in second. Round onto the front straight. 16 down, 9 to go. Richards still stalking. Probably have got him covered as long as we don't overshoot any of the corners, which is easier said than done. Oh, Richards gave us a bit of a nudge. Sitting in 6th. Interesting, Justin Matthews' cars disappeared back to the pits, so GTR2's obviously thought Brad Jones's car was in a safe spot at the end of this straight, but Justin Matthews' BMW wasn't. Traffic up ahead by the looks. Getting very impatient. Never been able to perfect the issues with the front bumper on the car this season for some reason. I don't know if it's something to do with the paint job or just haven't been able to get it to not black out the front bumper on and off. Which is a shame because it's a lovely looking car in the Valvoline livery. Paul Pickett we're closing up as I mentioned in race 1. Pickett in real life. Broke his hand at Calder, and we're actually, after saying all that, we're catching up to Paul Nelson in the BMW M3. But Pickett broke his hand at Calder in real life and then raced at Mallala in 95 with a broken hand. And of course in our Calder round, you would have seen in the highlights at the end of race 2, that in race 2 Pickett had had a big crash at turn 1 and have no doubt potentially done a bit of damage to the hands, so the same thing arguably has happened in our version of the 95 series as we lap Paul Nelson in favour Castell BMW. And onto the back straight. 19 down, 6 to go. I've boxed them in behind Justin Matthews. Paul Nelson rather. Around the hairpin. They're still behind Paul Nelson, so it's a breather I think we needed. Because we only had 9 finishes in Heat 1. Finish Heat 2. In fact, when you only have 15 starters, it doesn't leave much room for some retirements. Big gap. Over 4 seconds behind, so something's happened with them, and I think we may have secured our 6th spot. We'll see what happens. Lap. Let's probably pick it up ahead there. Around on the front straight. 21 laps down. 4 to go. Past the pits. So certainly not our most competitive run of the year, but in terms of placing, as good as we've done all year. The Hyundai just not showing enough, really. But as I've said all year, we keep battling on. I selected the car at the start of the year, so that's what we'll push on with. At the end of the day, I'm sure you guys would rather watch a battle, or me trying to get the car somewhere near the front, rather than watching me waltz off into the distance every race in a Diet Coke BMW or something, or one of the Oryx Audis. Something must have happened behind us, because just looking in the rear view mirror, it looks like Steve Ellery. So something has happened to Stephen Richards and Graham Moore. They've either fallen back or they're out. Which, if that's the case, there can't be too many cars left in the race. Paul Pickett. I'm sure it's Paul Pickett this time. And it is. Bringing home the Triple P Racing BMW. To take it easy, 2 laps to go. wing to the right. Steve Ellery has gained a bit on us as we took our time lapping Pickett. We don't want to get into the situation where we had last race where me and Ellery had a barging match on the final lap. But he is right there, so we're going to have to watch. Lap and a half to go in the 5th round of the 1995 Australian Super Touring Championship, heat number 2. 3 rounds to go after this. Lakeside in Queensland, Winton in Victoria, and we finish up at Eastern Creek in Sydney. Lost the line last lap. Oh, that is a complete copy of race number 1. We're going to have to do this cleaner. Up the inside. I think we got him. So now just have to watch as the checkered flag comes out. Race 2's been won, but what's going to happen for 5th place? So we've had another dropout. We want a top 5 here. Ellery wants a top 5. We want our first top 5 of the year. Dramatic scenes here. Such attrition here at Mallala, especially in race 2 if we're going to finish 5th. Two corners to go. Final corner. Round onto the front straight, so we'll finish 5th. Our best finish of the season. Steve Ellery chases us across the line. And that's it for race 2 here at Mallala. An attrition-filled race. Let's go check the final results. Another race of attrition. We get our best result of the year and probably our most competitive dicing with the pack since the opening round on the Gold Coast. Paul Morris, though, dominant out in front, wins race number 2 by nearly 20 seconds, and that firmly puts him in the championship lead. Jeff Allen finishes 2nd in the Ford Mondeo, Greg Murphy 3rd in the Audi, Jeff Brabham 4th in the BMW. We of course finished 5th, just ahead of Steve Ellery in the BMW. Tony Scott was 7th in the Volvo. Bit of a disappointing result after qualifying so high up for both races here. Steve Hardman 8th, Paul Pickett 9th in the BMW, and Paul Nelson finishes 10th. Again, last of the finishes, so everyone gets points in an attrition-filled pair of races here. Championship points then. After 5 rounds, Paul Morris now has a 14-point lead over teammate Jeff Brabham. This is a real come-from-behind effort from Morris, given how far he was back, particularly after Simmons Plains. Brad Jones is in 3rd, now only 10 points ahead of Greg Murphy. 5th place is Stephen Richards, a long way out of it now. Jeff Allen still running 6th in car number 77, the Ford Mondeo. 7th, Steve Ellery on 54, ahead of Graham Moore, who had a tough weekend here at Mallala. Charlie O'Brien is still in 9th, equal now with us on 30 points. Tony Scott 11th on 28, Mark Adderton 12th on 14 points. The Privateers Championship. After 5 rounds, Steve Ellery now holds a 12-point lead over Stephen Richards. Graham Moore has lost the tail. He's now firmly in 3rd. He's a long way in front of Paul Nelson in 4th. 5th, Paul Pickett. And in 6th, Justin Matthews and Mark Adderton equal on 42 points. While the Manufacturers Championship, a long lead now to BMW over Audi, back to Hyundai in 3rd. We've consolidated our 3rd place in the Manufacturers title ahead of Volvo, of course the singular Volvo of Tony Scott in 4th place. So a round that's turned the championships on its head. We've had a great day's racing. As I said, our most competitive, I think, in terms of battling with other cars since the first round on the Gold Coast. Gives us a lot of hope heading into Lakeside in Queensland for the 6th round. Then, of course, we'll only be 2 rounds away from the end of the season, so the championship gets away from you quite quickly with only 8 rounds. in 16 races. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we'll just see you again soon for the next round of the Australian Super Touring Championship. Bye for now.